Hi, I'm Sean Seal, and this is
Jill Seal.
and we're the owners of Sierra Nevada Adventure Company. When we started selling kayaks, of course, we had to stock stuff, and we needed a lot of room for kayaks. So our home and our garage was the back stock for my pickup truck, and eventually we had to have a location, and that's when we opened our store in Sonora. The motto that we're working under right now is that we're just trying to have fun, and that goes for among our staff. We really enjoy each other's company, and we choose to recreate together. And also with our customers, we try to have fun with them too. We try to communicate our passion for the outdoors, and I think I can speak for my staff as well as my wife that, we feel privileged.
And a special thank you to our sponsors of the event that provided raffle items, food, and drink, which would be Save Mart in Angels Camp, Grocery Outlet in Valley Springs, and Centers East Market in Valley Springs. So thank you guys so much.
Thankful that I believe in what I do, and that it's
Good morning. We're going to give a couple of public health updates. Good morning, Chair Garamendi and board members. I'm actually going to talk about West Nile virus.
It was a normal day for Jack until
it happened so fast.
In a moment, the lives of Jack and his family abruptly changed.
Good morning and welcome back to the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors meeting for September 24th, 2024. If you are able, will you please rise for Pledge of Allegiance? Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I am going to use the chair's privilege and move item 21 to the beginning of this agenda, so it'll go before staff announcements. Madam Clerk, will you read that item?
Yes. Item 21, action item, Administrative Office, adopt a statement denouncing anti-Semitic materials distributed in Calaveras County.
Thank you. I'm going to read this statement. The Calaveras County Board of Supervisors supports and celebrates diversity in our county and an inclusive environment for all its residents and visitors. The board is committed to fostering a spirit of community and connectedness for all Calaveras County residents. Our mission to serve, support, and strengthen our communities and our vision as a prosperous rural environment with unlimited opportunities are both predicated on our core values of integrity, service, people, and a sense of community. Our board is appalled by the anti-Semitic flyers recently distributed in District 3, which stands in stark opposition to our goals of creating an atmosphere of inclusion and respect for everyone living in or visiting our beautiful county, and condemns such material and their attempt to spread hate and intolerance. As your elected representatives, we know through experience that acceptance and tolerance of differences that make us unique creates a stronger and more resilient community. We will continue to nurture the deep sense of community and belonging that has long been the culture of Calaveras County by supporting inclusion for all. Martin, would you like to add anything?
No, thank you very much. I really appreciate you, Chair, reading this and bringing this to our attention again.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this item? This is not an action item. It is an action item. It is an action item. Is there any public comment on this item? Is there any public comment online?
We have no online public comment.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, will you please read the roll? I'm sorry, let's have a motion.
I'd like to move.
I got to wake up,
Second.
guys. Moved by Supervisor Hubbard, second by Supervisor Stopper.
Okay. Roll call vote. District 1,
Aye.
District 2,
Aye.
District 3,
Aye.
District 4,
Aye.
District 5.
Aye.
All in favor, 5-0 passes.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Board, for supporting our communities. And thank you. All right, we'll move on to staff announcements. Oh, we got a run going on. Robert, why don't you lead us off?
Yes. Good morning, Robert Packinger, Public Works Department. The Department of Public Works is currently undertaking a countywide roadway safety signing audit project. It consists of installing various signs on county roads. I'm announcing that we're putting a pause on that project right now. Okay. Thank you. Yes, we'll come back with further information on that project. We're going to go back to the design engineer.
Robert, just to be clear for the public, these are the multiple signs that are being put up telling us where to turn everywhere?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. We've discussed Sheep Ranch, so figure that out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Robert. Whew. Marcos.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. Today I'm here to introduce our new IT director, Len DeGroot. Some highlights from Len's career include working as an instructor where he developed and delivered data literacy and visualization courses for workshops and graduate students, including GIS. He spent 7 years with the LA Times as the assistant managing editor, digital, and director of data visualization. And for the past 4 years, he moved into local government and has worked in management at the Tuolumne County IT department. He comes highly recommended by his fellow peers, and we're excited to have him here at Calaveras County.
Welcome.
Thank you, Board. It's a pleasure to be here. A pleasure to meet you all. I can't wait to meet you all personally one-on-one. I grew up down the hill in Antigua, so I'm very familiar with this. I spent half my childhood up in McCommy Wilderness and that kind of stuff, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. I know Stan fairly well, and he left some big shoes to fill, and I'm very fortunate that he left a really great staff. And I really look forward to working with everybody here.
Thank you. And we welcome you from the board. And Stan was much beloved and speaks very highly of you. So welcome
perfect.
aboard.
Thank you. And I'd like to hand it off to Mark to talk about some cybersecurity.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. As October approaches, I just wanted to touch on an important initiative with you that aligns with our desire to keep county information safe and secure and to enhance our cybersecurity posture. October marks National Cybersecurity Awareness Month, which is a national campaign to raise awareness on the importance of cybersecurity. It also presents a great opportunity for us to educate staff on the very important role that they play in protecting county information. So this year's theme is Secure Our World, and we'll be kicking off on September 30th and engaging staff each week on different topics, including recognizing and reporting phishing, multi-factor authentication, and keeping software and devices up to date. The goal is to enhance security awareness and reduce risk within the county through education. And with that, I just want to thank the board for your continuing support for our cybersecurity efforts. And I'm looking forward to another successful and educational Cybersecurity Awareness Month. And please don't forget to stop by the IT table in the upcoming health fair. We look forward to seeing you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Eric, come on up, but I have to make a quick pit stop. I seem to be forgetting everything I'm supposed to be doing as chair today. Supervisor Follendorf, would you like to make an announcement?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I will be joining on Zoom for a good cause for medical.
Thank you very much. Now we complied with the Brown Act. Eric?
Thank you for that. I just wanted to report back. This past Saturday on the 21st, we did our emergency preparedness event here at the San Andreas Library. We had a great success. I just wanted to thank the CCWD, Area 12, CMCAA, and Medical Reserve Corps all had booths there that got to interact with all of our community members that came out. And a special thank you to our sponsors of the event that provided raffle items, food, and drink, which would be Save Mart in Angels Camp, Grocery Outlet in Valley Springs, and Sender's Ace Market in Valley Springs. So thank you guys so much.
Colleen? Good morning.
Good morning. We're going to give a couple of public health updates. Good morning, Chair Garamendi and board members. I'm actually going to talk about West Nile virus. So West Nile virus is something that a number of departments within Calaveras County actually have a part in. But I'm going to talk about right now is the prevention part and then the part that public health addresses. So West Nile virus, it's a common virus spread by mosquitoes in the United States. It was first detected in California in 2003, but it's established throughout the state. On average, Calaveras has experienced one case of West Nile virus per year, and that's where we are now. We reported a discrepancy that was determined after we did further investigation of the data that was provided by the state. It's really important to know that the role of disease surveillance is crucial. It's one of the tools that we have in public health. And while those surveillance systems are vitally important to our work, errors can occur, whether it's through data entry or technical glitches or even human error. The important thing to note, though, is that as soon as an error is discovered, we make a correction. So that's what happened in this case. The West Nile virus transmission to people usually happens in the summer and early fall. And it's when the temperatures are warm and mosquitoes are most active, so right now. So you will start to hear more about it. And about 80% of people who are infected with West Nile virus actually don't have any symptoms at all. 20% have symptoms of kind of fever and nausea, and less than 1% become infected, get very sick. And a lot of the times those folks are 60 and over, people with weakened immune systems, people with things like diabetes or kidney disease or other illnesses such as that. But if you want to remember anything about what I'm talking about today, it's that prevention is the key with West Nile virus. And there's 3 really important steps that folks can take. We encourage folks to remember dawn and dusk. So when the sun's coming up, the sun's going down, make sure you use EPA-approved insect repellent. During those times, that's when mosquitoes are most active, so think about that. Wear protective clothing, long sleeves, pants, light colors, because mosquitoes are actually attracted to dark-colored clothing. Remember to dump and drain, so eliminate standing water. Mosquitoes can breed in just the smallest amount of water. So look around your properties, look around your house, outside, and things like bird baths or clogged gutters or old tires that can hold just a little tiny bit, dump that out. And then another thing that folks don't often think about are their doors and their windows, so making sure that they're screened, but also if there's even the tiniest hole, mosquitoes will find a way through. So repairing those as soon as you find them. And I brought some handouts that I'll bring up here and put up all about West Nile virus, and anyone can take them. But I also encourage folks to go to westnile.ca.gov, where you can actually see where West Nile has affected.
On a lighter note, I just wanted to let everyone know that on Thursday, September 26th, we will be hosting a children's dental screening clinic. It's at no cost. It's available to everyone in the Calaveras community, but it'll be at our WIC site in San Andreas at the Calaveras Community Covenant Church. And so I will leave flyers here, but if you guys have any questions, there is a phone number on there if you need to ask. So thank you.
There's a lot of stuff up here.
Thank you very much, Colleen. Haley, thank you. Judy?
Good morning, Chair Garamendi, members of the board. I'm here today to remind everybody that on Wednesday, October 2nd, we will be having the Employee Health Fair. And so this health fair is from 9 to 2. And several years ago, we came up with creative, fun ways So to inform all of our employees about their benefits that they have available, we have all of our benefit vendors that will be here. And then we've also partnered with our other county departments, such as public health, behavioral health, animal services, OES, and they will also have tables there to get information to our employees who live within the county, what different resources are out there for them. This is a fun event. Mark Twain, once again, will have although we said taco truck, the vendor set up a tent. And so we will have lunch provided. And this is also a great way for human resources to say thank you to our employees. And we have awesome employees across this county, and it is a fun event. We will have games, we will have prizes, and we will have great information about your benefits, because open enrollment starts October 4th. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Is there other public comment, other staff announcements? Anybody online? Where's Lisa?
We have no online.
Lisa.
No.
Okay. Very well. We'll move on to general public comment.
Any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board and is not posted on the consent or regular agendas may be addressed during the public comment period. California law prohibits the board from taking action on any matter which is not posted on the agenda unless it is determined to be an emergency by the Board of Supervisors. If public comment is completed before the 30-minute allotted time period, the board may immediately move to the next order of business. If public comment is not completed during the allotted time period, it will be continued as the last item of business in order to provide an opportunity for the remainder of comments to be heard.
All right, thank you. I think everybody here understands the rules. 3 minutes. If you give a comment that's related to an agenda item that's later in the agenda, I will stop you and ask you to make your comments at the appropriate time. So with no further ado, who wants to lead us off? Carrie?
Good morning, Chair Garamendi and board members. I'm Terry Lane with County Library. I'm here today, first of all, to say thank you. Thank you for your unwavering support of the library system. And today, thank you for your support of the summer Lunch at the Library program. I'm here to tell you and share with you some of the highlights from this program this summer. I'm very, very happy and proud to say that the summer Lunch at the Library and the summer reading program was extremely successful this year. It had numbers that we did not anticipate. So basically, we served meals at each of the 8 library sites and the Railroad Flat Community Center. We had over 1,025 youth that participated. This was double the amount from the previous year. And I do have these stats that I will leave with you too. What we did is we served grab-and-go meals that had a breakfast and a lunch combined. And we gave 9,114 of those bags away. That was over 3,500 more than the previous year.
Wow.
And what made that successful is that with the grant, we were able to hire 6 paid interns that were recent high school graduates and young college students. And they were amazing. They worked together as a team, they problem solved, and they made it happen. They picked up all the food, they brought it back, put lunches together in the bags, distributed it to each location. And on top of that, they provided programming so that the library had a special program each week of the summer, learning about birds, looking for bugs, learning about gardening, rocks, and also fun with virtual reality. We also had 57 Friends of the Library volunteers that put in close to 300 hours to serve those meals. So you should be very, very proud of what you saying yes to that grant meant to Calaveras. One of the new things that happened this year was that with the grant, we were able to get books for each participant. Not just one book, but a set of books for each child that participated. The library also donated some books, and First Five Calaveras also donated books. And so together, we gave out 6,844 books. And I have 5 seconds. Thank you, thank you. I am leaving these stats with you. They also have the numbers for each of your districts.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you to all the volunteers in feeding our community. Mr. Bednar?
Good morning. My name is Christopher Bednar, publisher of Calaveras 2024election.com. I'll be appearing at this podium several times today to address significant concerns pertaining to items on today's consent agenda and regular agenda. These concerns primarily relate to Calaveras County's current and future fiscal health and well-being, the county's short and long-term financial priorities, and the persistent inadequacy and lack of vision demonstrated by the elected leadership of this county's government. It troubles me greatly that 4 of the 5 Calaveras County District Supervisors are currently under scrutiny by the California Fair Political Practices Commission for their respective violations of the Political Reform Act, each having failed to file legally required FPPC forms and causing harm to the community and to the political process by their lack of transparency. Supervisor Garamendi deserves praise as the only one of the 5 county supervisors that made a consistently credible effort to get his legally required FPPC filing responsibilities met. The fact pattern has been well established here by my previous appearances before the Board of Supervisors. That fact pattern is also well documented on Calaveras2024election.com and at Calaveras 2024 election on social media channels TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. This Board of Supervisors, with 4 of its 5 members under FPPC scrutiny with open complaints, and 2 of its 5 members with those complaints against them having been escalated to open and pending cases by the FPPC, lacks the moral authority to commit large sums of funding. Yet, as we'll experience later this morning, the Board of Supervisors will proceed to do exactly that. My name is Christopher Bednar, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com.
Thank you. Is there other public comment? Al? Been a while.
Good morning, Chair, Board, Al Segala, Calaveras County Taxpayer Association. First thing, we're blessed with a great Board of Supervisors. They just reading the amount of information that you have to process, as indicated in the agenda, just awesome. It's hard to believe. Normally human beings can handle all that. But my point I'd like to make is the Taxpayer Association is concerned about our basic rights to life, liberty, and property. I was able to attend 2 separate meetings for the 5-year strategic plan. And on the first one, which was 10 years ago, it was mentioned by the promoters that it involved a process, but not purpose. Process involves analyze what you're going to do, but it doesn't talk about why you do it. Purpose addresses the reason why. Okay, and the same thing occurred again in this last 5-year general plan update. So I would like to suggest that the solution could be easy. In our Constitution, on amendments, the 5th and 14th Amendments is very clear wording about not only the nature of human rights, but the call So this is actually the purpose of government, is to protect those rights. It's not the purpose of government to take from some to give to others. It's not, somebody said, I forgot who I'm quoting, but if you allow government enough power to give you anything you want, you've given them enough power to take everything you have. And we have to think about that when we are dealing with the different levels of government. A fishhook has a prong on it, and it's very hard to pull out. And what we've been having to deal with is fishhooks in public policy where it's difficult to reverse it because your constituents are looking forward to continuing with their benefits. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Al. It's good to see you again. Other public comments in the room? Are there any public comments online?
We have no online public comment.
Very well. We will move on to the consent agenda.
Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial. They will be acted upon by the board at one time without discussion. Any board member, staff member, or interested party may request the removal of an item from the consent agenda for later discussion.
Thank you. Any board members wish to pull an item from consent agenda? Supervisor Hubbard.
I don't wish to pull anything, but I'd like to recuse myself from item number 9.
Okay. Other items from the board? Any items, any public? Mr. Budner?
Christopher Budner requesting 4, 8, and 9. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you. Other items from the public? Items online? Is there anybody online?
4?
Aye.
District 5?
Aye.
Passes 5-0 vote of the board.
Thank you. We will move on to item number 4.
Item 4, Resolution, Administrative Office, approve a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2024-25 county budget for the County of Calaveras, excluding the distribution of transient occupant taxes to Calaveras Chamber of Commerce and Calaveras Visitors Bureau.
Mr. Budner.
My name is Christopher Budner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com. Since I launched Calaveras2024election.com in the spring of 2023, I have published 30 blog posts on the subject of Calaveras County government's institutionalized negligence of fiscal responsibility. On April 9th, 2024, and again on August 27, 2024, I addressed critical county budget issues specific to how funds allocated to the new district attorney's office can be reallocated to the design and completion of a long overdue and desperately needed animal shelter. As you're aware, $5 million has been approved for the proposed new district attorney's office, which is expected to cost $6 million. On September 20th, 2024, I published to Calaveras2024election.com the 82nd blog post, which is an easily Googled detailed report titled County Supervisors and DA Barbara Uke Ignore Evidence of Calaveras Visitors Bureau Corruption. Mounting evidence reveals the district attorney's office is blatantly and transparently ignoring formal complaints and accusations of corruption previously submitted and made in her very presence and on the record in this room, as she appears to prioritize the assurance of the design, construction, and completion of a new office complex over formal written requests to investigate endemic corruption and fiscal malfeasance within the local legislative and administrative body that holds the purse strings for her new office complex. The Calaveras District Attorney is undeserving of a new facility due to dereliction of duty and selective enforcement of laws designed to hold public officials accountable. The $6 million in new DA office funding should be reallocated, thereby ensuring $10 million plus in funding for the new animal shelter. The how and why, which I have explained to this board, can be easily ascertained by Googling the titles of these two blog posts. Negligence of Fiscal, Public, and Animal Safety in Calaveras County, published April 10th, 2024. Calaveras Supervisors remain committed to animal cruelty, published August 27, 2024. My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com.
Thank you. Questions from the board on this item? There are public comments on this item from the... Al?
Yeah, on item 4, the Taxpayer Association does appreciate the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce. They're good representatives for the business community, and year after year they've put in a lot of volunteer time to actually uplift our economy and allow us to be more prosperous. It's not fitting or appropriate that such an organization, which has a tremendous amount of ability to influence voting, should get money from the government instead of from its members or through voluntary means. And for that reason, we would ask that you not approve any funding, any government funding to a private organization such as that, even though they're a good organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Other comment or a motion?
So moved.
I'm sorry, really quickly, just check online.
Please.
Thank you. We have no online public.
Thank you. We have a motion by Supervisor Stopper. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Toffanelli. Madam Clerk.
Roll call vote, please. District 1.
Aye.
District 2.
Aye.
District 3.
Aye.
District 4.
Aye.
And District 5.
Aye.
It passes 5-0 vote of the board.
Thank you. We'll move on to item number 8. Mr. Butner.
My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com. On March 14th, 2023, I addressed this board in opposition of an agenda item appearing to be a pretext for a $50,000 gift from TOT funds to the Chamber of Commerce. I voiced my staunch opposition to the outlandish proposal because the evidence led to a deceptively worded agenda item and credible allegations of backroom dealings between the Board of Supervisors and Chamber leadership. On June 30th, 2023, I published to CalaverasElection.com highly detailed forensic financial analysis reports after examining the Chamber's IRS tax filings back to 2004, revealing a Chamber that reported annual operating deficits with expenses exceeding revenue, losing between $4,300 to $65,000 per year for 10 out of 18 years. Google Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce Revenue Expense Analysis Part 1 or Part 2. My investigation, which led to grand jury, California Attorney General, and Calaveras DA complaints, revealed a well-corroborated fact pattern. The standard operating procedure of Calaveras government is one of institutionalized endemic corruption born of duplicity, backroom dealings, and influence peddling by and between the supervisors and the conflicted leadership of multiple business bureaus. On December 12, 2023, the Calaveras government entered into an agreement with the Chamber under, I allege, a ruse. The $50,000 TOT allocation would be used to promote tourism in the west end of the county through to June 30th, 2026, which is the responsibility of the CVB. The facts allege the $50,000 TOT allocation is really an effort to prop up a chamber plagued for decades by gross mismanagement and financial ineptitude from a revolving door of unqualified executive leaders, which, according to my research, is now on its 5th CEO in 5 years. On March 14, 2023, I asked you, what is the Chamber's justification for holding out a tin cup for taxpayer-funded welfare? Today I gave you the facts, putting it on the record again. A Chamber of Commerce is supposed to be staffed by the best and most experienced business leaders in the business community. If a chamber has repeatedly exemplified that it cannot make and manage money for itself for 20 years, when will it make and manage money for its membership? Again, as I said on March 14, 2023, if the Chamber needs money, let it propose a business plan demonstrating how they'll deliver an acceptable ROI on a low-interest $50,000 SBA loan. I'm Christopher Benner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com.
Thank you. Is there other public, any questions from the board? Any other public comment? Laurie?
Hi, I'm Lori Giannini, and CEO of the Calaveras County Fairgrounds, and have been very active with the Chamber for many years. And we do have a struggling business community, and that's our business organization. Our number one business in Calaveras County happens to be tourism. So for me, it follows logically that money generated from tourism would help that organization. I take exception about the criticism of their CEOs. I've worked with all of them. Life happens, and there are reasons why people move on. And I think we just had a beautiful event last week, and the state of the county, and where Chairman Garamendi and our CEO, our CAO were there as speakers. And I think they're doing a fine job, and I think they're on the move up. And anything we can to support them by supporting them.
1.
Aye.
District 2.
Aye.
District 3.
Aye.
District 4.
Aye.
District 5.
Aye.
Passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Move on to item number 9.
Item 9, Resolution Administrative Office approve a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2024-25 county budget for the distribution of transient occupancy taxes to the Calaveras Visitors Bureau.
Thank you. Mr. Butner, you had questions.
My name is Christopher Benner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com. As stated to this board previously, the leadership of the Calaveras Visitors Bureau, in league with willfully negligent and deceptive county supervisors, allegedly continues to engage in ongoing efforts of fraudulent misrepresentation that continues to jeopardize the county's financial integrity. As the record shows, the CVB misrepresented its nonprofit corporation type as a public benefit nonprofit corporation in the 4-year $1 million-plus tourism promotion agreement with the county finalized under false pretense in August 2023. This despite the CVB having surrendered its public benefit nonprofit corporation status with the DOJ and Secretary of State in July 2021 upon conversion to a mutual benefit nonprofit corporation. I have cited credible allegations of negligent or fraudulent misrepresentation by the leadership of the CVB, of which D3 Supervisor Huberty is the executive director and who is the subject to an open and pending FPPC investigation to this board from this podium, as well as the Angels Camp City Council regarding the conversion of corporation type and other matters of CVB malfeasance and mismanagement, a total of 18 times since my first appearance before this board on February 14, 2023. On September 13, 2024, I submitted a Public Records Act request for the CVB's Articles of Incorporation and Bylaws and Policies and Procedures, Revision 5, July 2024. The responsive document I anticipated receiving was expected to clearly indicate the date upon which the CVB's Revision 5, July 2024 bylaws were received and recorded by a named employee of the Calaveras government. The CVB's Revision 5, July 2024 bylaws, posted to GoCalaveras.com sometime in July of 2024, appears to be a poorly edited and prematurely approved draft, still displaying glaring errors and omissions, misrepresenting in at least one instance the CVB's nonprofit corporation type, and it appears to have not been received and recorded by a named employee of the Calaveras government. Therefore, the so-called updated Revision 5, July 2024 CVB bylaws reveals the Bureau is still operating illegally without valid bylaws as an outlaw business bureau, which is how I described it on June 1st. And I reiterate, the CVB's ongoing fraudulent misrepresentation continues to jeopardize the county's financial integrity. a thorough forensic financial audit of the $2.4 million in TOT revenue the CVB has received since Huberty's mid-2019 hire is demanded for Calaveras taxpayers. I'm Christopher Bunner, publisher of Calaveras, 2024election.com.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? Are there any public comments on this item? Are there any public comments online?
We have no online public comment.
Very well. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Supervisor Stopper. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Toffanelli. Madam Clerk.
District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Same.
District 4?
Aye.
District 5?
Aye.
Passes 4-0, 1 abstain.
One abstain. All right. We'll move on to our regular agenda.
Okay. Item 5. Oh, no, we're
moving on to item 22.
backtracking. I need to put my glasses on. Item 22, Agreement Public Works. Authorize interim director of Public Works to execute contract change order 60-02 to contract 12002103 with Suckett Construction LLC in the amount of $1,249,500.
Thank you. Craig, do you need a second setup, or are you good to go? All right. Take us away.
I think I'm good to go now. Well, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I just felt I needed to say something because I remember when I was first asked to come to the county, come help one more time. I rose to the occasion, and I just want to assure you, and I think you know that, but I just feel I need to say it. My duty is to serve you as best I can, giving you the best of my knowledge, abilities, giving you the best information possible. And that's, this is a difficult project that you guys have been working through, and I just want to assure you I'm giving you the best information that I can possibly give you. So with that, we'll move on. So this is the subject of, this is supplemental number 2 for change order 60 for the Wagon Trail project. This is the all-important dirt movement, roadway excavation work on that project. As you well know, the base change order was approved back in March as we were starting into this season of construction. That was followed by, on August 27, I presented to you supplemental number 1, and that was approved by your board at your September 10th meeting. And what was promised was to come back at this meeting to provide you additional information and a recommendation for a supplemental number 2. To try and get, this is targeted at getting us through this very important construction season. The updated information today, it starts with that we have made a change in how we've measured what dirt we have left out there. We had been following logs, daily load counts, and doing calculations based on that. But we had decided to go with what we felt was a more accurate, comprehensive instrument to give you the best, what we think is the best information available, and that's coming to you through a flyover topo provided by Suckett Construction. That flyover was dated August 26th. And just for those that aren't aware, that this technology is used when they first created the map for precondition, the precondition before even started work on the site. It helped establish the quantities, the total cuts and fills for the original bid documents, and will be used to confirm quantities upon project completion to reconcile our roadway excavation payments. So again, we feel that this is the best source of information to tell you where you're at right now, on the remaining earthwork that needs to be done. So that is a big pivot. from where we've been. So as we've also provided we have that base of information that gives us a good count from the data that fly over to completion. That is roughly calling for roughly 84,000 cubic yards, saying that's what's left to be moved from that date to the end of construction. We also went back and looked at those load counts that occurred between the March 12 base agreement, base change order to the date of that flyover. That's about 66,000 additional cubic yards, and put that all together, and it totals up to about 150,000 cubic yards. And that's something that's a big number, and it's a big change. We started in that original change order talking about a 90,000 cubic yard number. So the two biggest things that have changed in that is when the MSE wall project came before you. Part of what happened at the time that the board approved the change order for the construction of the MSE wall was we found out dirt that was planned to be used in that area was inadequate for backfill for that MSE wall. And as part of the change order for the wall itself, it provided basically a crushed rock fill, a specified fill to use with the wall. But when we did that, then that left us with some soil that we had planned on in the project, planned to use, but had to have a new home, essentially. So we've been bringing that to your attention for the last several weeks. So that takes us up from 90,000 that we calculated before to about 110 total. Okay, so what's the difference? And the difference is we believe is in rock that has been part of the discovery on this project, large quantities. And if you throw that in as well, that brings you up to this new total of 150,000 cubic yards. And I'm giving a gross simplification here, but just by way of explanation to you and for the public. But again, we feel that's the most accurate information that we currently have. So of that remaining 84,000 cubic yards of roadway excavation, 53,500 of that will be used in areas still requiring fill material, and there's a little over 30,000 cubic yards that would be worked into other areas of the project site. So that's your basic information update that provides the basis of the supplement number 2. So estimated net cost of work performed through July 17 actually has exceeded the supplement number 1 by about $95,000, and that will need to be covered by supplement number 2. Supplement number 2 assumes the 51,000 cubic yards that will be completed before the end of the 2024 construction season. We think that's an aggressive amount. It's a big order to try to move all that dirt. But everything that we can get done between now and the end of this construction season is work that doesn't have to happen, next year, which is our final year of construction. So we want to facilitate Suket doing as much work as they can before winter really sets in on the site. Just wanted to point that out. Beyond that, we're looking at about another that would leave about 25,000 cubic yards to be dealt with in 2025. We are not recommending that in the supplement right now. We feel that it'd be better to wait, and in the spring, we'll have a better handle on exactly where we are in the dirt work, and then we could put the absolute best number on the quantity and on the price. And rock to deal with. Fortunately, conditions are dry, so we don't have wet material that we're having to work and rework. So we feel it is going to be far less costly than before due to what I just said. Is addition, we have large stockpiles that are out there. One stockpile, it's around 30,000 cubic yards of material that was actually stockpiled from work done in 2022. and it's sitting there, so it doesn't have to be, it's like not original excavation. It just needs to be either picked up or pushed, to where that's going to go. And we have relatively short distances where this material needs to travel to. And a lot of this is also fairly easy for placement. So while still costly, it's not nearly the cost that we've experienced, as part of the base change order and in supplement 1. And we estimate then supplement 2 would cost approximately $1,250,000. So assuming all of what I've just told you holds true, these things will have happened with the base change order 60 and supplements 1 through 3, 3 being the one that would be dealt with next spring sometime. Approximately 150,000 cubic yards of material will have been moved and placed, and the total with the total estimated net cost to the county of $4,405,000. That's $473,000 more than what I told you when we dealt with supplement 1. Again, we had a lot more material that we had to factor into that, but also trying to factor in what we think the real cost of dealing with that less expensive material would move. Take all that into consideration. Fortunately, in the budget that's just been approved, there is contained an allowance within the future change order part of our budget, and that is more than adequate to cover that $473,000. So that's that's fortunate that we had that set aside. So that's really the request before you, is to go ahead and authorize me to go ahead and sign this change order, and to basically get this work going, and come back to you, or my successor will be coming back to you and dealing with that final supplement. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Can't answer any questions. And I do have Howard Zabel, our project manager from Dewberry, here to help.
Questions from the board?
Not at the moment.
Public comment on this item? Mr. Butner. Same rules, 3 minutes.
My name is Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com.
Supervisor Tofinelli, you recently voiced your frustration concerning the latest change order request for the Wagon Trail project. You questioned why both the project manager and the construction manager were caught unaware that the project cost overruns, pushing its price tag to $53 million. You were quoted last week in the Calaveras Enterprise as having stated, "Do we not have people out there on foot watching what's going on and not seeing it?" It appears that you were operating under the reasonable expectation, but a falsity, that there were competent, proactive, fiscally responsible people in place, people out there on foot, in your words, watching to serve as good stewards of the people's trust and tax dollars. Well, I want to share an observation with you. At the last Board of Supervisors meeting, that exchange of glances between you and Supervisor Stopper at the conclusion of my public comment was most revealing. Supervisor Stopper realized that I revealed him to the state for his serial campaign finance violations of the Political Reform Act, and he also realized that I'd leveraged his prior formal warning of financial penalties by the California FPPC for any future infractions. He also knows that I served him notice his career as a district supervisor was concluding, that he's no longer electable, and this is his final term. Supervisor Tofinelli, your Wagon Trail question asking, do we not have people out there on foot watching what's going on and not seeing it, is also appropriate as to it now pertains to the calamity unfolding within this Board of Supervisors concerning the harsh reality that 4/5 of the Calaveras County Board of Supervisors is now under state scrutiny for their respective FPPC campaign finance filings, and 2 members of this board have already been elevated to open and pending case status with the state investigations in process. My question to all of you is this. Does this board even have the moral authority anymore to approve expenditures of more funds for the Wagon Trail Realignment Project without an independent forensic audit first occurring? Unfortunately for the entire Board of Supervisors, except for Jack Garamendi again, who demonstrates that he actually personifies FPPC legal filing responsibility, I was on the ground monitoring all of your FPPC filings and doing my duty as a conscientious citizen to report 4 of you to the state just as you deserved. Yes, I've watched what's going on, and it's shameful. And lastly, what labor union and local are the workers represented by? I'm Christopher Butner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com.
Thank you. Is there additional public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
There is no online public comment.
Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board. Questions from the board. Supervisor Toffenali.
So my question is, since March this year, been to the front of the board several times. And the March change order was 90,000 cubic yards. We're now in September, the end of September, and there's 84,000 cubic yards. Last time it was 53. Now we found 84. It just seems to continue to escalate. And my question is, why do we just use Sukat's flyover now? Why, if we had it from the beginning and mapped the pre-construction area, why haven't we been using it all along? Why have we been continuing escalating since March and not realizing and bringing to this board something that we can actually believe in? Because right now, I'm telling you, I can't believe it's $1 million. I'll be very honest with you. And it's going to be till the end of the project. We've said all along to this board, brought it to this board all along, that, oh, this is it, this is going to be it. But everything is still an estimate. Even this says it's an assumption and an estimate, which tells me this isn't $1,249,000 isn't going to be enough to complete this project based on everything in the past going forward. I don't know why we didn't do this sooner and get accurate what you're claiming to be. Well, you're not even claiming that. You're still saying it's not accurate. It's an assumption. But it's a better assumption, apparently, than what we were doing before. I just don't know why we didn't do it before.
So back in March, we executed, or we wrote CCO 60 on the assumption with the information we had at the time that there was 90,000 cubic yards of material remaining. We did not do a topo at that time. The team discussed it. There was a cost and a time associated with doing an independent topo, and we made the decision to not do it at that time. I think in retrospect, we could all agree that maybe that's something we should have spent money and time doing. However, the quantities, at the end of the job, there will be a final topo, there will be an independent topo, and essentially the quantities will be reconciled at that time. But I will acknowledge that the 90,000 yards that was presented to you in March, yeah, that was a miss. It did not include, as Mr. Pedro mentioned, it did not include 20,000 yards where the new wall is that was approved in May. That's occupied by select structure backfill material. And it also did not include rock, the quantity of rock that was unknown at that time. So that change order did not address those two items.
So given that said, this estimate here, even with the flyover and the topo, you don't know if there's rock going to be discovered as they move the dirt. So this number is...
So what we have done, so we don't know for sure exactly how much rock. We've looked at what we've done this season from March through September 17th. We have accurate records there, so we know now what we've done. The project team believes that the hardest and most expensive excavation is in the rearview mirror now. That's not to say there is no more rock. There are a few more blasts at Cut 5B and one at Hunt Road, I believe. Nothing like we've done this construction season in the past. So it is a correct statement where we don't know exactly, and you don't know exactly where things are going to be. However, just to give you a visual, the cut at Hunt Road has to come down about 50 feet, 50 feet. So in that 50 feet, you don't know exactly how much rock you're going to get into there. Well, now that cut is down to where there's 10 feet remaining. And so now there's enough material exposed where the team has including the contractor, right, has a pretty good idea of what remains. So I will share with you the way we came up with the estimated unit price for this budget. And again, it is an estimate, but it was based on essentially easier and less expensive dirt for most of it, plus a small portion that we acknowledge is going to cost more per cubic yard because of the blasting. So the estimate we believe was refined. We think it's reasonable. It still is an estimate, but we're using all the information we have to come up with that number.
I have a couple more questions. You mentioned reconciled at the end of the project. So that means if there's more dirt than what's in this change order, we're going to owe more money because you're going to reconcile. Once you do from the beginning, the flyover pre-construction to the end when the project's complete, you're going to estimate how many cubic yards versus what we're given a change order for here. And if it's more, what if it's less? Are we going to go back to Suka and say, you owe us $1 million?
So that's a really good question and point you make. To clarify, this item we're talking about, roadway excavation, is paid for by the cubic yard, and it's an actual pay quantity. As are most bid items on the contract, that means the item is calculated, and the contractor is paid only for what they moved, no more, no less. So yes, it's a correct statement. It could wind up being more. It could also wind up being less. So it is the best information we have at the time. That flyover topo was done August 26th. Edition will be done independently. So we know, and we've done it independently, we know what the final quantity winds up to be.
The other question I have is, I have two more questions. The next question is, I can't look at this and realistically believe this number is correct. 2 weeks ago, on the 10th, we were here and we voted for the first change order. And it was supposed to be through August and September. But yet this document in front of me now says, well, we're $94,000 or $100,000 over just from the 17th. So in 7 days from our buying into that change order one, we're already over by $100,000, and we still have this week, well, the 17th to the 30th, which is basically 13 days or 2 weeks, that they're still out there working, even though the change order says not to exceed amount, they're out there. So we don't even know what that's going to entail just to get to the end of September.
So that is a correct statement, but I can share with you the process that we're using now to get and estimate actual costs as accurately as possible. When, a couple weeks ago with the Supplement 1 change order, I think the board heard that there was quite a lag in contractor billings. That really was the reason for our information was not as in real time. It was far behind. What we have done in the last, 6 weeks or so, and we're pretty well caught up now, is we, every day in the field, for the forced account work, it's time and materials, so there is an inspector that monitors how much time is spent for labor, for equipment, and at the end of the day, the contractor generates a TWA, that's a tentative work agreement. That is an agreement between the inspector and the contractor for that level of effort. Both parties sign. Then in turn, the contractor bills that later in an extra work bill. So what we're doing now, we're doing our own estimates based on the TWAs. So the information in this Supplement 2 reflects TWAs and estimates that are done through September 17th.
My last question at the moment would be to direct to County Council. If we don't approve this today, what do you have to say about it? What do you think would happen? Do you have, legally wise, what would happen if we don't approve this?
My understanding from staff is that some of this work has already been completed, and I have to think that the contractor would feel that they're entitled to payment for work already completed at the county's direction, certainly. Beyond that, in terms of work that has not yet been completed or not yet been undertaken, my assumption, and I would defer, I think this is less a legal question than a logistical one to some extent, but I would presume that the contractor would stop doing this work.
I would say that's dependent upon where the board wants to be. If we're saying we are not going to approve this, and it's not a consideration, we'd have a burden to tell the contractor that, and very likely he would pull off the job along with his workers and his equipment.
And the cost associated with that? Would they not assume a cost for them to pull off?
Sure.
And then
Yes, I would imagine so.
we figure something out and tell them to come back, there's a cost associated with that also, is that not correct?
Yes, but also hopefully the people and the equipment and all that could come back, but we're at a critical time in the season right now where if they pull off now, we've probably lost any ability to do additional work this season, I think practically. And there's downstream ramifications of that too, in order to deliver the project in its entirety within the time frame that our funding would allow. And as you know, we're going to the CTC next month, getting an extension, but I'm pretty sure it would extend the project probably beyond even that request. So that's it's a big decision.
Supervisor Stopper?
I think council just related that, some of this work's been done for the money being asked for. Say we only have an estimated amount of dirt right now in your best estimation. And you also said that they're charging for work actually done. So are they charging for work that they estimated they did?
So
that's what I'm hearing.
And I apologize if I sort of missed, when I think what I intended to say, and I appreciate the clarification, is that based on our estimates, they have completed work that will be compensated via this change order.
Yeah, that's correct.
But we're paying based on actual billing.
But that's the point, we're paying for actually work done based on an estimated amount.
We will pay for the actual costs should be very close to what we're estimating because we've removed all the variables at this point. We have a tentative work agreement. We have an agreement on the hours for labor and equipment. The rates for the labor and equipment are already established. Those are not negotiable. So for all practical purposes, it's a pretty accurate estimate.
Okay. You have an amount of yards here, and you're saying this is what we're estimated to be over. And then you say, well, rock yards cost different than other yards. And, and I understand that. Rock's harder to dig through. You harder equipment. That makes sense to me. But then when we're looking at this overall price based on yardage that we're going to have to move in the future, that's going to be future cost, that may be an overrun, that's already been dug.
So we have the data, the actual information that this was based on is as of September 17th. That was as close as we could get this to real time. So we're trying, so you are correct that there was work done between the 18th and today that we don't have that information at our disposal yet.
Other questions from the board?
Supervisor Vollendorf does have her hand raised.
Supervisor Vollendorf?
Got question. I don't know if it's for Craig or Howard, but with this change order, where can we save? Is there any other options or solution on this?
My opinion, I don't think there's another option, but I will say the team is taking steps to minimize from this point moving forward whatever this actual cost is, looking at possible ways to reduce the unit cost, right, of the material. Are there design changes that we could do quickly, economically, to reduce the cost in some way? Are there disposal areas for that extra 30,000 yards that would result in lower unit costs for, moving that dirt? So we are looking at all of those options to try with an eye on minimizing the cost to the extent we can.
And Craig, the CTC timeline got brought up. If this is not approved today, how does that impact going in front of the CTC with that request? What kind of time frame are we looking at that delay? Are we going to have, even though you've submitted a certain amount of time already for their agenda, are you going to have to ask for added months?
Assuming that we could get the project going again next spring, I would need to ask them for an immediate change in the back of materials going to the CTC to the meeting in mid-October, asking for a full 20 months. And again, we haven't laid anything out here on the time frame to make sure that we can deliver even by then. I'd like to think we could, but I don't know until we lay it out. So part of that is a dialogue. Where are we going to go with this project? Are we going to see it through? or could we possibly not? I hope that's not where we're at. We're talking about this is the last major piece to finish this thing. The MSC wall is coming up. That's through a separate change order. That's right in the heart of it. And we do need to find homes. There's areas that need that dirt for fill, and some of that stuff, some of the dirt, we'll go ahead and just work into the project site, because it all has to be, handled properly to finish off the project. So we're very close. That's why if we can push through now and get as much done, this season too, that should also help shorten the work needed next year, which will also help reduce costs just by doing that. That's weather dependent, but we have the crews and the equipment here right now to get this thing done. It'll never be cheaper than right now, and to meet the timelines that we've been working on with the CTC.
And the Sukkot's intent here with what is on the table is to try to finish Hunt Road this season now, to get that done. That were some of these things that the team is looking on to refine where some of the material goes. That's coming, I think, really into much more focus, and that's what we're looking at with hopes to finish that this season, the Hunt Road.
And just, I think Supervisor Fallon hit on some of this. As I know the board's aware, we are looking for, it's a little late in the game, but we're still looking at ways to finish the job, to retain all the functionality, but if possible, if we can deliver some of the connections and things, maybe in a different way, if we could save money in a timely, everything has to be in a timely manner with Caltrans approvals and all that. But we continue to look at all those kinds of things too. Are there little tweaks that we can do to reduce the cost of the project? Are there areas of dirt, which in a conversation just yesterday, one of the cuts on the eastern end, there's a big hump in the existing Highway 4 coming off of Appaloosa, and we need to bring that down. But can we do that in a way where we're not making as severe a cuts, meaning leave some of that dirt there if we can, and don't move it if we don't have to? That's the cheapest dirt yet. If you don't cut it, you don't need to move it. So we're working with our design engineer and geotech to see if that's possible. So these are things that are actively being worked on and refined all the time. We have to deal with the dirt, finish, fill the areas that need to be filled, lose the dirt that needs to be kind of lost on the job in excess in the least expensive way possible. That's an ongoing thing that we're doing, every week. We're reviewing those things.
Supervisor Fondorf, do you have further questions? Okay.
I was going to ask really quickly, if this wasn't to pass today, what permits would be affected that are currently in place?
I think one of the things that we're concerned about is making sure that we're, and I want to be really clear, I'm going to the MSC wall, and there's a channelization of Nassau Creek that's going on in conjunction with that wall. We should be out through our permits, have that channel reestablished and the work finalized. But I need to be clear, that should be able to be done just through the change order 62 or 3, the one specific to the wall. That ought to be able to be completed. But all throughout the project site, we're going to have to take appropriate measures like any other contractor would when you hit winter to button things up as well.
So just one clarification on the channel work, and that's a different change order. It's agreed price change order. However, the ends of that channel, there is still some roadway excavation or force account work that would be needed. It's not much, but I can't say that it's zero. So if this were not to be approved and we cease to do any more of that, tying it into existing Nassau Creek, I mean, that could affect that, so.
Well, I think Craig said it when he said it's never going to be cheaper than it is right now, and I'm a believer in that. This is a major artery for our county. 4,500 cars, over 4,500 cars use that piece of road every day. It is an evacuation route for our county. I think just in the time that I've been associated with this project, the goalposts have always changed, and I anticipate that they're going to continue to change. But it's got to be done. I don't see any way out, and I do believe what Craig says, that stopping this is going to cost us far more than just continuing and getting the project done. That's my 2 cents.
Supervisor Toffenali?
So is there a cost associated with them shutting down for the winter and then coming back? Do we have added costs?
There would be. We can't just, wrap up and demob and walk away. There would be temporary erosion control, costs of buttoning up the project before construction is complete. And essentially, what that would translate into, there will be erosion control costs. There already are. They're already factored into the project. We have bid item, it's bid item work. So we have prices, established prices for all that. What I'm talking about, if we walked away right now, there would be temporary erosion control costs that we're not planning on those costs. So there would be that cost this season.
And then you mentioned the creek and where it's at now.
Right.
And if we walked away from it right now and left it we had some good rain over the course of the winter, is that creek way it's sitting right now able to, so we would have some other areas that would be impacted when we come back? We won't know what we have.
There would be there would be impacts there. There would be issues with permit violations with not essentially connecting. It has to be connected. All that is done with Department of Fish and Wildlife permit, streambed alteration agreement. So we have to honor the the conditions of that permit, of other permits. So it would.
So if we just walked away and left it the way it is right now, and those violations happen, then the costs associated with what this change order is asking would be greater than this change order before we could even get back to start doing the work that's needed.
That is correct.
And any other erosion that happens in the area that's not secured for winter and washing down into that creek area because we disturbed the dirt and didn't set it back up for winterization would have a major impact and cost for us also, correct?
That is correct.
Not finishing that channel just can't happen. We have to finish that channel. Absolutely.
And do we have an estimated time frame to complete that channel? Because everything's on an estimate.
Yes, it is.
Critical path seems to me as a time frame, but that doesn't seem to be in this project. But do we have an estimated time frame?
Looking for the end of October.
We're shooting for the end of October, so another 6 weeks.
Correct.
5 weeks, 6 weeks. And then it'll be ready if the rains start in November. We'd be in a position where that creek is up to where it needs to be per our permits and Fish and Wildlife.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I'd like to add something too.
Okay, Amanda?
Craig or Howard, one of you, and also with this creek, doesn't the adjacent landowner rely on that water, ensuring that that water gets into their property? Because we've already taken away a water source.
didn't understand the question, Amanda, sorry.
The water, if we stop the creek, if we stop the work, the water flow of that creek, the adjacent property owner is relying on that water flow this winter and into spring. Isn't that correct? We've already taken a water source away.
Yeah, I believe so. It would, there would still be water. It just wouldn't. It would be a mess, and the water wouldn't go where it needs to go.
We might have a lake there.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that adjacent business is relying on that water stream.
I can't speak specifically to who is relying on that water downstream, but I mean, just practically speaking, I think that's an accurate statement. I don't know the details of who relies on it, though.
Unless it's been 100% diverted, I mean, flow would slow until said area filled and then flow on. Physics, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there further discussion from this board? If not, I will seek a motion. Item 22.
Can I just say before we do?
Please.
What would happen if we continue this to the next meeting? Because I'm not sure I have enough information here. I'm just wondering what would happen if we continued it.
I think, again, I need to hear back from you so I could communicate to the contractor that we're going to keep them. This isn't saying stop work. This is keep working until we take this up again. Because I can see them being very concerned.
Supervisor Topper.
I make a motion to continue this into the future so that we can get more information because we're dealing with estimates right now.
So we have a motion on the floor to continue this item. Is there a second for that?
I would second that.
Second by Supervisor Toffanelli. Any further discussion from the board regarding this? Very well. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll? The motion is to continue this item to our next meeting.
To the next meeting? Okay.
Correct?
District 1?
Made the motion.
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4?
No.
District 5?
Aye.
Passes 4-1-0 of the board.
Okay, we'll see you guys at the next meeting to take this up again. Item 23. I think you guys are still on, so don't leave.
Howard, you'll be available by phone. I can call you and ask questions.
Anytime, yes. Yes. I'm available.
Item 23, Agreement, Public Works, authorize the board chair to execute Amendment 14 to Agreement 12001806 with Dewberry Engineers, Inc., increasing the maximum amount payable by $578,262.81 for a total amount not to exceed $3,399,288 and extending the term through December 31, 2025.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'll just remind the board in big picture that this contract with Dewberry, not only does it provide our project management services, but actually the largest component of the contract also provides for tribal monitoring, which we're required to have, as well as specialized attorney and appraisal services and so forth related to our right-of-way. Those latter two is it's over $400,000 of this requested $578,000 contract is for the tribal monitoring and the right-of-way services, just in perspective. Again, the staff report chronicles the different changes that were made. Those are driven, as the whole project has been, primarily due to cultural finds and the extension of work and additional things that need to be evaluated. So this contract is just an extension that would get us through the 2025 construction period and cover all those activities I just said and through that time.
Questions from the board? All right, is there public comment on this item? Mr. Butler, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Christopher Budner, publisher of Calaveras 2024election.com. I object to the chair authorizing the execution of Amendment 14 to Agreement 1200-1806 with Dewberry Engineers, increasing the maximum amount payable by $578,262.81 for a total amount not to exceed $3,379,288 and extending the term through December 31, 2025. I have every expectation that the chair will ignore my objection to authorizing the execution of Amendment 14 to Agreement 1200-1806 with Dewberry Engineers Incorporated. That said, it takes a lot of nerve or lack of self-awareness, or perhaps both, for this Board of Supervisors, consisting of 4 serial campaign finance filing violators, 4 elected officials who cannot even meet the basic minimum requirement for timeliness, accuracy, or honesty in their legal responsibility to the state, to be spending hundreds of thousands and now millions of dollars on a project that is now nearing a 120% cost overrun, spending money like drunken sailors, and we're not even out of phase 1 of this project. That's right, this $24 million project is approaching $53 million. When will this end, and how high will it go? This boondoggle exemplifies the John Hurt quote from the 1997 movie Contact, based on the book of the same name, authored by famed astronomer and educator Carl Sagan. Quote, "First rule in government spending, why build one when you can have 2 at twice the price?" End quote. How dare this Board of Supervisors potentially drive this county towards bankruptcy, echoing real concerns vocalized by retiring District 2 Supervisor Garamendi as a real and growing threat to the financial solvency of Calaveras County. Before any amendments to any agreements are authorized, there must be a forensic audit conducted to determine how and why a project manager and a construction manager were unable to effectively manage the project construction and these cost overruns. My name is Christopher Budner, publisher of Calaveras2024election.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment? Mr. Segala.
Al Segala, Taxpayers Association. This may be, hindsight so much accurate than foresight. But the basic question is, why is the county attempting to build a state freeway? Can't Caltrans build freeways? Is this a Caltrans freeway and we're trying to build it for them? It should be a simple answer to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
There is no online public comment.
Very well, I'll bring it back to the board for further discussion. Mr. Stopper.
Just thank you, Al, because that same question came up long ago. And 2014, 2015 Board of Supervisors decided that they were going to flex their muscles and they were going to take it all under the county instead of the state doing it through Caltrans at that time. So, this is a big project. A lot of things can happen in these type of situations, and it's best, in my perspective, to leave it to the state in the future.
Other comments from board members? Supervisor Follendorf?
I have a question.
Please.
Are there any other anticipations of cultural findings that will significantly impact the time frame or drive the cost up even further?
Any known cultural findings? Anticipated. There's no anticipated. But
Anticipated. Yeah. Sorry if my mic's not coming through. Anticipated.
Yeah. No, there's been, the one thing we have going in our favor is we're running out of real estate to turn the dirt on, and that's when we find these things. And I mean, seriously, there's not a lot of virgin ground left to turn. They still have follow-up work they're doing related to it, as well as the archaeologists done through Alta and Dawkins contract. And they still have a backlog of work and reports they need to do to document the finds that have been made to date.
Other questions, Supervisor Follendorf?
No, that's all I have right now.
Okay. Supervisor Hubbard?
I was going to say that I think 22 and 23 sort of go obviously hand in hand. And would it be possible, instead of waiting 2 weeks, to actually do a special meeting next Tuesday to address all these questions, and we just give ourselves a week instead of 2 weeks? Is that possible, County Council?
It is possible.
I mean, yeah, in terms of timelines, a special meeting can be agendized on 24 hours notice, so that it's theoretically possible, yes. I just think waiting 2 weeks is, I think thinking about it after I voted yes, I would just, if we can get it done in a week, I think it'd be.
Are we backtracking on the last item?
No, I was just saying that I thought that the two actually go hand in hand, so that was a question.
Right, yeah, no.
Yeah, we could do any of those things. It's the discretion of the board. Is there a motion to approve this, or is there an alternate motion?
I have a question.
Supervisor Toffenali.
How much of this increase doesn't, that I can see here reading it, and I read it before, how much is for our council, special counsel? How much is for the artifacts? Do we have any numbers on that?
It's approximately $70,000 for the special counsel and appraisals.
70,000?
Right, for all
and
that.
The rest would be cultural?
325,000 is tribal monitoring. And then
So about 184,000 for the project management services.
Yeah, I was going to make a motion to continue this item to a future date for consideration to gather more data.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second to continue this to the next meeting?
I'll second.
Second by Supervisor Toffenali.
Just again, understanding that we're going to still have Dewberry doing their work until and unless you tell us otherwise. So 2 weeks is timely. I think it's important they know we're going to take this up and consider it then.
1 week?
Right now we're at 2 weeks. The next meeting.
October 8th.
No further comments? Madam Clerk, will you call the roll? The motion is to continue this item 23 to the next meeting.
District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4?
No.
District 5?
Aye.
Passes 4-1-0, vote of the board.
Okay, item 23 will be at our next meeting.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, item 24.
Item 24, resolution. Human Resources adopt a resolution approving a side letter with Service Employees International Union Local 1021, establishing assignment pay for employees within the Facilities Division when performing work in the Calaveras County Jail or related secured areas.
Judy?
And Rest Director. And I am bringing before you today a resolution and approving a side letter with SEIU to allow those employees within our Facilities Division that is working within the jail and only for hours worked within secured areas in the jail to be paid a 5% assignment pay. In the past, we have had dedicated employees that were hired to work within the jail. Fast forwarding through the years, it's harder, the labor pool has dried up, it's harder to find employees that are able to pass the full background or wanting to go through the full sheriff's background. And so this will allow not only to be able to have facilities maintenance workers available to do the work at the jail, it also helps with succession planning with our facilities maintenance engineer that's assigned at the jail. And I think that it is a great option for our facilities employees.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Any public comment on this item? Any public comment online?
We have no online public comment.
Very well. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the side letter for assignment day.
And I'll second.
Moved by Supervisor Stopper, second by Supervisor Hubbard. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4?
Aye.
District 5?
Aye.
Passes 5-0, vote of the board.
Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to item 25.
Item 25, action item, Administrative Office, make a public benefit finding and approve appropriations from the PG&E Settlement Fund to the 39th Agricultural Association in the amount of $27,500. Requires a 4/5 vote of the board.
Madam CEO.
Good morning, Chair Garamendi and members of the board. Board direction was given on August 13th, 2024 for the 39th Agricultural Association to hire a consultant to complete engineering and cost analysis for a number of proposed projects to support the fairgrounds as an emergency evacuation site for our county. This request is to provide $27,500 to pay Weber, Geo and Associates, WGA, to prepare a planning level document that addresses the following systems: backup generators, the sewer system rehabilitation, pavement rehabilitation, commercial refrigeration, livestock panels, hay barn storage, and emergency light towers, which are in keeping with supporting the fairgrounds as an emergency evacuation site. So the recommendation is to provide $27,500 from the PG&E settlement funds in order to support this study.
Thank you. Lori, would you like to say anything? Public comment?
No, I don't have any. I just
Stand right
We're
here.
here for questions.
Might
Yeah.
question your choice of an engineer, but.
Yeah. I know. Yes.
You don't have to take that.
Yeah.
That'll be just trying to make sure that he doesn't have anybody in that area that he can go to later on when he's not a
Okay. Any public comment on this item? Is there any public comment online?
We have no online public comment.
Bring it back to the board for further discussion or a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to make a public benefit finding and approve the appropriations from the PG&E Settlement Fund to the 39th Ag in the amount of $27,500.
I'll second.
Here we have a motion by Supervisor Stopper, a second by Supervisor Hubbard. Madam Clerk.
District 1?
Aye.
District 2?
Aye.
District 3?
Aye.
District 4?
Aye.
District 5?
Aye.
Passes 5-0, vote of the board.
Thank you, guys. Okay, we'll move on to item 26. You need a second setup?
Yes,
All right, we're going to
Chair,
take a
can we-
5-minute break.
those funds have been allocated. So we're going to...
An update from the Calaveras County Chamber of
All right, welcome back. We are on item 26.
Item 26, informational item, Administrative Office, receive an update from the Calaveras County Chamber of Commerce.
Ms. Sparks, welcome.
Good day. So I'm a member of the board. So thank you for the opportunity to present.
Is that on now? You're good. Okay. Thank you for the opportunity to present. I'm here to provide an update on how the transient occupancy tax funds have been utilized by the Chamber since the start of this year. So we've put a lot into using these resources, thank you, in order to benefit local businesses and the community as a whole. So I apologize for not being the best public speaker. I am excited to share what we've done and where we plan to go with all of this. So kind of going to the overview here. What I want to kind of go over is what we have received and how those funds have been allocated. So we're going to go over event expenditures, marketing expenditures, kind of a summary of the budget and what is on our list for next year, and hopefully I'll be able to answer any questions for you. First, going into what we have received. So since the end of December until now, we have received $50,000 in TOT funds. This was used to hire staff and to help, being me and my administrator, Jamie, and to help promote tourism in the west end of the county, focusing our efforts on that side. So I kind of tried to break down how we budgeted that money so you could kind of see the main places of where it's going. So the funds we received were budgeted in a way that breaks down to about 40% of staff wages, 10% for marketing, physical and digital, and then 50% to events. Those events broken up into workshops for education for businesses, community events to bring awareness to the public and to businesses, and networking events to connect businesses to each other, and also to showcase locations in our county, particularly on the west end. So for the event expenditures and the results, in this section I kind of want to go over what goes into these events and some of the results that we have been able to collect. So these funds, most of these funds were also spent at local businesses in the area as well, so kind of back into the community. So for our workshops, I'll try to be brief. So for our workshops, you can kind of see the list of things that we have spent money on, being experts or consultants hired, meals provided at these events, the facilities that needed to be used, whether renting the spaces or things like that, marketing materials, workshop materials if they required paperwork or things that they needed to have to learn in these classes, and then also the staff wages for us to be there to put on the events. So we've put on a lot of them. We've done 13 specialized workshops that were 2 hours long each, focusing on a variety of topics, and they've accomplished a variety of things, whether people getting help with their QuickBooks, businesses becoming certified for California, people learning digital security and finding out how to get access to capital, all into working Canva, everything like that. So this is an estimate because it's, I tried my best to remove duplicate attendees, but it's an estimated about 206 attendees for these workshops, which averages out to about 15 per workshop, but it was actually some were smaller and some were larger. So that's that. So community events, I kind of set that up the same way. So you can kind of see what we had to spend money on to make the event happen, the amount of events that we've done. We've done some Good Morning Calaverases. We are going to be doing a debate tomorrow. We just did State of the County last week and are on the right track events that we've done in April. And then marketing events are like our Spring Around Town and our Plaid Friday kind of events that we're trying to offer to all of the local businesses to participate in and to kind of bring in tourism. So We have an estimated amount of 262 people who have attended these events, and that does not count the 275 students that participated in like the On the Right Track program and the 55 participating businesses for those campaigns. So it's kind of nice to be able to see that data. Networking events, similar thing. What we spent it on, the amount of events we've had, and then our attendees. We've had this is an estimate of about 368 people that have attended these events. We tried to focus the locations more on that west end to kind of pull, and also in doing so, we brought in other counties as well. So, when we did it at La Cantena, we did it with Amador. When we did an event in Copperopolis for that after hours, we also brought in Tuolumne and Amador, trying to just show that we're all really close together. We could be working together and kind of cross-promoting and kind of showing off the hidden gem that is Copperopolis and things like that. As well as Clondare Vineyards, which was new. We did do an event at Harrah's, which is technically Amador, but it's on that west end side, so we thought it would be a good kind of bridge between Amador and Calaveras. Here are kind of the approximate attendee locations. This is from the data that I could pull. I was able to kind of break down where people were coming from within the county. So you can see the top blue line, that is like the south and west end on each of these items, and then the darker blue is, northeast end, and then anything orange is like people coming from outside, like Tuolumne or Amador. So we were kind of able to see that our community events, it kind of fluctuates a little bit, but we are seeing people from both sides coming together and both attending these events relatively equally. It's just kind of nice to be able to see that.
May I?
Yeah.
That last graph.
Yes.
You're showing community, and this would include people attending.
Yes.
And actual businesses within our county. You're showing it on the north and west end.
Yeah, kind of like
That's-
southwest, like Copperopolis, and then northeast, kind of, Angels Camp and up there. It kind of broke it down like that.
Well, okay, so you Copperopolis and what, Valley Springs area?
Yes,
Yeah,
Valley
okay,
Springs
those
and
together,
San
so-
Andreas, kind of,
Right,
yeah.
Right, so
Mhm.
the majority of the community is there, but most of the workshops and networking ends up on the other side of the county.
But these are attendees, yeah. The people who come to the networking events, yeah.
Okay,
The people who are attending the networking events are coming mostly from the north. I mean, by a small margin, they're coming more from that side. But but they're coming to the
Just trying to
the west
understand
Yeah,
exactly
absolutely.
what you're trying to portray.
Sorry,
Thank you.
yeah. So each one broken down like community events, workshop events, and networking events, and then you can kind of see where people are coming from for each of those categories. Does that answer your question? Yes. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. So then marketing expenditures here. So in the marketing section, we're going to go over kind of what our marketing budget, I guess, pays for, and how we budgeted it and what we spend it on. So here you can see these are our local and neighboring outlets that we used. A lot of physical materials, newspapers or ads, things of that nature. So we've used Valley Springs News to CCTV, Mountain Merchant even is a new one that we started using, and Ledger Dispatch, things like that. These marketing outlets were used for events that promoted local businesses like Plaid Friday, Spring Round Town, Shine and Dine, as well as, events that the Chamber is putting on, State of the County, Good Morning Debate, and workshops as well, trying to spread the word about educational content out there. So just to kind of briefly, I'll try to do this fast, to go over our social media. I know we kind of talked about this in my last presentation, but I kind of wanted to go over how we've been shifting a little bit. We've started using a little bit more paid advertisements with social media just to increase the reach, and it has increased some. We've seen some significant increases, especially with Facebook. All of the things that we market for, you can see here, these are the locations. Whoops. So now first to go with followers, you can see where our followers are coming from. It seems that the Valley Springs is our top user for Facebook, and then Murphy's is for Instagram. But you can see it's kind of balanced between both East and West End for the most part on both platforms. The ages are a little bit different. Instagram tends to be a little bit younger of a crowd, Facebook a little bit older. But yeah, it's just kind of nice to have that data to know where we're marketing to. And here it is. So this is what I meant with the reach, where we have kind of increased it with using paid reach since kind of taking over in January. You can see this is the whole year to date. So it has gone up quite a bit to 71.6% increase there on our reach for our posts. So that is, we have been targeting outside the county a lot in order to try to bring people into the county for things like lumberjack days and gravestone, things like that, trying to push that information out so that way people come in. Yeah. Similar with our email and marketing. We use a few different platforms we've used in the past and still use to do email marketing. So our two most common ones right now are the chamber website and Constant Contact. So we have about 3,800 email opens with our reports that we get, and for our website we're getting close to almost 5,000 unique visitors, which is pretty exciting. So it's increasing, constantly increasing. The more we've been pushing out, the more things have been kind of coming back to us. Kind of boring. This is the Constant Contact. You can see how many emails we send out versus how many get opened. They send us these monthly so we can kind of see what our results are. So if people want to put their items in our newsletter, they are more than welcome to reach out to us to do so. Same with our website. We put all community events we can possibly find on our website, whether they're a member or not. It doesn't matter. We just put it on our website. And that's what comes to show here is since we have those unique visitors, when they're coming to the website and clicking off, we're able to see that a lot of them are clicking on community events, which is really exciting. And yeah, we're just hoping to continue that boost so people continue to send us their events and their flyers and things so that way we can advertise for them. Yeah, and then this is physical materials. So obviously the average things to print: flyers, brochures, tickets, coupons, schedules, awards like scholarship awards and other physical awards, workshop packets for when workshops happen, the types of events that they are used for, paper stuff mostly. And so here I kind of did a marketing breakdown just to show how that cost works. So of that part of the chart that is marketing, this is where those things go. About 15% to local outlets. It made it to about 16% for our newsletter, about 13% for social media, and about 55% of it is spent on physical materials. Yeah, and so kind of a summary of spending of how we've done it so far. Kind of broke it down into those original three categories we saw kind of on the first pie chart. So the budgeted is that's the gray, that's of the TOT that we have budgeted for things like events, marketing, and staff. And then the dark blue is what we have kind of spent of that money on our events that we have done thus far. And the orange is what remains for the events we have for the rest of the year and other things that we have planned. Does that make sense? I know the color ones are a little weird. Okay, cool. Yeah, so to show what's next and what we will be spending that remaining budget on. So besides the debate that is tomorrow, we also have the Chamber Summit that is coming up. This is a way for us to kind of connect with other chambers who are also in rural communities, and we are also opening the doors to some local businesses and things as well who want to get more involved. It is occurring in Copperopolis and bringing people from all over California, so even people from Southern California are coming up for it. So we're using the event to promote Copperopolis businesses in this way. Another event that I'm really excited about is we are going to be doing a Giving Tuesday this year. So we're going to be doing a kind of fundraising event for any local nonprofit. So any local nonprofit can sign up and they can be represented with a booth or however they want to be represented, and all of the funds that we raise in that evening will be distributed between the nonprofits that participate. So I'm really excited about that one. It's happening in McCullough Hill too. Yeah, and just some marketing we're planning. We have been working on our 2025 calendar. These are kind of the things that we have set out already, kind of placeholdered into our schedule. I'm really excited about things like the Business Watch program. It's like a neighborhood watch, but for businesses. We plan on doing a child care job fair, working with the Resource Connection to educate more child care providers in our area or help them become child care providers. And of course, On the Right Track, Giving Tuesday, things like that. Other things we're looking forward to doing is the directory, getting past those technical difficulties, but it will be coming soon. And then doing our community event maps. This is something that we were excited to do to kind of show when events are happening in the area, like Christmas parades. You could have a brochure and a map that shows where all of the Christmas parades are. It's easy to hand out and maybe have, businesses advertised on that as well. But it would also be a way to kind of showcase, those highway lines that we talked about of like, bringing people in this way and bringing people in this way. If you have like an actual physical map, you can be like, hey, stop by all these events. And so it would be cool to do for things like parades, caroling, trunk or treats, things that are safe to do with your kids, and also reasons to come to towns. And then business catalogs. That is something I want to start digitally and then eventually move to print, where we showcase businesses in the area in like a directory that's printable. Yeah. I think that's everything for the most part. I'll do my best to answer questions.
Supervisor Stopper.
The first time wasn't this fiscal year. It was the prior fiscal year when we brought forward these TOT dollars to them. From my recollection, and please correct me if I'm wrong, we brought forward these dollars to fill in a space that we felt was needed on the west side of the county. Now, north, west, east, south. When we, as Board of Supervisors, say the west side of the county, we're talking specifically more towards District 2, 1, and 5. And not that, and understandably so, it's like when it came to the Visitors Bureau at the time, where the concern started to rise, was that, the Visitors Bureau's focused on bringing people in for our extracurricular activities and Ironstone and other things, and for the most part, these lie within the Highway 4 corridor. So we felt there was a gap when it came to the businesses on this side of the county, because we felt that it needed to be filled a little bit, even though we have Comanche, Pardee, and Hogan, and McCalmy Hill, which are largely, in a way, we feel a tourist destination. We don't necessarily have the facilities for people to stay when it comes to TOT activities, but we do provide some destination qualities to our community, which, as we go through, that is our major business in Calaveras County. Yeah. is destination spot. That said, as we move forward, I'd like to see more accurately and forward, like we should all, you as the chamber should always be supporting the grape stop up there. I'm not saying don't do that. What I'm saying is these dollars should be focused more towards what the ask was at the time we allocated them. That's my opinion. Someone please correct me if I'm wrong when it comes to what we had discussed and what we had our expectations for when we put this forward as a Board of Supervisors. That's my recollection.
Other questions from the board? I would agree with Ben.
And you're doing a good job. I just want to focus it a little bit more. Okay. And I think the chamber should represent the entire county. But when it comes to this reason, we're looking to fill in a gap we felt that was needed at the time we supported this.
And I agree with what he's saying. That was the intention of this money, is to promote the west end of the county.
Right.
You've done a good job. We need to look at some more events, maybe promoting it down here, and some marketing in the area.
Focused.
Yeah.
With that money for that reason.
And I will attempt to do more of that. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Supervisor Haverty?
Hi, Rachel. Can I ask you, Sherry and I were the ones that couple of games you have left.
I did a count not too long ago. I think we're in like the 150 range.
Great. Perfect for Christmas.
Yeah,
Everybody grab a Calaveras-Opoly
Don't
game.
quote me on it, but yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We typically do public comment on all items.
You know what? Okay. This is an informational item, but we will allow public comment at the advice of council. Mr. Butner? It's a public comment. Mr. Butner, you have 3 minutes.
My name is Christopher Bunner, publisher of Calaveras 2024.
Election.com. Here's the only thing I wanted to hear from the Chamber of Commerce in the update, because the Chamber is hosting a Calaveras candidate debate forum tomorrow morning, September 25th, 2024 at 8:30 a.m. Now that the Chamber is in receipt of another $50,000 tranche of taxpayer money, I wanted to know if the Chamber debate moderator will ask the 4 candidates, of which one is an incumbent currently under scrutiny by the State of California Fair Political Practices Commission for alleged violations of the Political Reform Act about campaign integrity issues specific to the timely and accurate filing of FPPC campaign finance forms. My allegations of campaign finance violations presented to the FPPC against 2 of 5 Calaveras supervisors, Hubbard and Follendorf, have both been upgraded to commission-initiated complaints, triggering state cases currently open, investigating their suspicious campaign finance filings. Supervisor Tofinelli is subject of an FPPC complaint for allegedly falsifying the claim of a late filing being an amendment to a non-existent prior report, additionally alleging he committed perjury by falsifying, claiming his late filing to be an amendment to a non-existent prior report. Supervisor Stopper is the subject to an FPPC complaint for alleged violations of the FPPC's campaign disclosure provisions of the Political Reform Act for allegedly not filing termination forms for his 2018 campaign committee, no filing Form 470 office holder and candidate campaign statement short form for 2023, and failure to file Form 497s for 2 labor union campaign contributions to his 2018 campaign. Now imagine if the FPPC should convert the remaining 2 complaints against Supervisors Tofinelli and Stopper into active state cases for campaign finance violations, making the majority 4 of 5 Calaveras supervisors concurrent subjects of active state cases for campaign finance violations, thereby potentially rendering the Calaveras County government invalid or illegitimate. So here's the question. Will Supervisors Tofinelli, Stopper, Hubbard, and Follendorf be asked by the Chamber's moderator tomorrow to resign from office if the FPPC determines they are serial violators of the Political Reform Act? My name is Christopher Bunner, publisher of Calaveras 2024 Election.com. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there other public comment in the room? Is there any public comment online?
We have no online public comment.
Thank you very much. We will move on to item 27. Peter, do you need a second? Okay.
I have it ready. I'll read it now. Item 27, informational item, planning, receive a presentation on the housing element annual report to the California Department of Housing and Community Development for 2023.
Just in case you all need it.
Okay, I don't think I need it.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. Peter Maurer, Interim Planning Director.
This is the annual report that's required under state law to the board and for public comment on the housing element and how we've progressed over the past year. Every year we're required to file a report with the State Housing Community Development Department and the Governor's Office on how we've progressed with our housing element. So we'll just sort of go through this. So you've probably seen some of these slides before. Every year we go through this exercise. We've got our housing element. What is it? We'll sort of briefly go over what's in the housing element report, why is it important, and what does the report tell us. So as I said, it's a state mandated requirement of the general plan. It is the only element of the plan that has to be approved by the state, and it's a very rigorous process we have to go through to do that. We adopted our element in September of 2019. It's good for 8 years, so this one runs through 2027. We'll be starting the housing element update for the next cycle that would take effect in 2028. Intent of the housing element to assess the housing needs of the county, analyze the housing needs allocation, the RENA. That is a number that is provided to the local council of government to distribute throughout the area that council of government administers. And fortunately for us, it's just the county and the city. If we were in a larger jurisdiction like SACOG or ABAG, you'd have 88 cities and a couple of counties, much more complex process. But we have a relatively small number of expected housing units to be constructed to meet the needs of the state. It's, just we looked at it just from the unincorporated portion of the county's needs as well as the City of Angels camp. The housing element then outlines a number of policies and programs and expected goals of how many units we might be able to build if we implement these programs. Again, it has to be certified by HCD, and as I said, it goes until 2027. So the annual report looks at how we're doing each year. It analyzes the housing productivity, any updates we've done to the programs, and successes and challenges that we've had. The report itself is a very complex set of tables that we look at building permit activity, fill in those tables, and submit it to the state. And what we're looking at are the trends. How are we doing? Are there things that we need to do that modify those policies? Where do we need to set our priorities for the next year to meet those housing objectives? Are we in good standing for state funding? That's a really important thing because we have a number of grant programs that the county utilizes, both in planning and HHSA. And if we do not submit those reports on a regular basis, in a timely manner and make progress towards meeting the state objectives, then we're at risk of losing that funding. And then this report is also an opportunity for public input. So get into some of the nuts and bolts here of the report. This is sort of a comparison of last year's numbers. As you can see, we're down by about 2/3 of what we produced last year. So the housing completions, and this counts the completions, those that are finalized by the building department, not necessarily the starts, are down from last year. It sort of shows the trend that we've been seeing, not just in Calaveras County, but sort of throughout the rural parts of the state, that the building activity has diminished. I think this is sort of a bounce back effect from the COVID, the pandemic, where a lot of people were getting out of the big cities, trying to relocate to the rural areas, but then they're sort of being called back to their jobs in the cities. So they're not finding that moving up to places like Calaveras County is quite as efficient as they thought it would be. We're doing fairly well with the above moderate income housing starts, which is pretty typical of rural areas. A lot of the homes that are built are people that may be retired from work in the Bay Area, moving to this area. Where we're still facing challenges is in the more affordable ranges and what we're referring to as workforce housing these days. It's a demand that's, it's not only in Calaveras County, but it's state and nationwide. If there were simple solutions to these problems, we would have solved it by now. But the housing issue is one that is dominating conversations, at the federal level, certainly in the state legislature, and something that we're trying to deal with here as well. So this shows numbers in the past several years, number of completed units based on certificate of occupancy. I think the chart sort of speaks for itself. We did have a fairly significant increase, from 2020, and a lot that did get finished this past year, but it is beginning to slow down. And this compares all the different income categories. As you can see, we're about half of what the RENA expectations would show for where the state would like us to be. We're certainly not the only ones in this predicament. I think we've done a fairly good job of looking at how we can promote more housing, particularly the workforce level, but it's not something that we have a lot of control over. There's construction costs, land costs, all the different things that go into housing. Yes, Supervisor Hoffman.
I have a question. So, someone builds an apartment complex of, say, 16 units. Is each unit considered one?
Each individual unit is considered a housing unit, yes.
It would be considered one?
Yes. Yeah, feel free to interrupt if there's questions about any of this. So we've had some recent success with the adoption of the new zoning ordinance, a number of the implementation measures that we identified in the housing element, some of those minimum density standards. Encouraging second floor housing was something that we included in the code, as well as reducing the parking requirements for multifamily housing. So anything that we can do to reduce the cost of construction that still meets the standards that we need to have adequate parking and adequate safety measures in structure, we're looking at ways to reduce those costs where it's possible. Some of the other items that were included in the code update were continued ability to use mobile and manufactured housing. Co-housing was something that was new that we included, as well as farm worker housing. Single room occupancy units, those are hotels that are rented out on a long-term basis that meets a certain niche of housing needs. Those are also something that we do now allow under the code, as well as group homes. So those are items that we included in our code to help promote opportunities for people to develop additional housing. The challenge we have is that we don't build housing. We establish the rules and regulations of how housing is built, but it's up to the market for someone to come in and say, I can make money by developing this type of housing here. That's the real challenge that we're facing throughout the state. We've got a number of ongoing programs that we're working on. We do a sort of a typical annual review of the vacant land that's available. There's not much that overall there's quite a bit of vacant land, but again, it's something that it has to pencil out for a developer to come in and want to construct apartment building or smaller size homes that would make it more affordable. And the market just is really sort of directed towards larger single-family homes to meet the above moderate income level. We're looking at infrastructure capacity, and this is one where we have some grant money that was awarded to the county that would help offset the costs of hookups for water and sewer, for example. The other thing we're looking at is what kind of surplus land is available that the county might have. I remember doing this back in 2019, 2020, and most of the surplus land that the county owns is not really developable. There's maybe a couple of sites that we could, some of them are narrow little pieces along highway frontages. We just don't have a lot of surplus land that we could then make available to a developer for housing, although I want to get into that a little bit more at the end of this presentation. And there's a number of programs that HHSA runs with, choice vouchers and accommodations for persons with disabilities. So those are things that we continue to work on as ongoing programs. Rehabilitation funds, preservation of properties is something where there's an affordable unit, it's maybe up for sale, and someone wants to convert that to a more market rate project. So we have a program where we look at that as, housing, affordable housing goes on the market. Is there a way that we can keep that in the affordable level? So that's something that HHSA works with. Yes, Martin.
Can I ask you really quickly, and I don't remember seeing it in the rest of the presentation. I was talking to Lee yesterday at the Habitat for Humanity groundbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that some of our RENA funds could go, because I know they have like a $4 million shortfall, that we could help with that and then get credits for the amount of units that are being built?
That's the project in the city?
Yeah. Does it have to be on the unincorporated?
It would be better if it were.
Okay.
I don't think that it's a bad idea if there is money that is available that otherwise is not being spent, that we can direct it that way. It wouldn't necessarily help our numbers, but it would certainly help housing in the community.
Okay, thank you.
And that's something we probably should look into more. And then energy conservation programs, another thing that keeps affordable housing within range of people that are in the low to moderate income level. So we've got two major grant programs that we're working on. One is the permanent local housing allocation. We have right now about $500,000 available. We spent $26,000 on getting a program put up for down payment assistance program and home modification assistance program. So you've got a home that needs some fixing up. The owners don't have the resources to do that. We have a program that we're about ready to roll out next month. We have the potential under this specific grant. Each year it's a certain amount of money for a 5-year period that goes to the county to use towards these various programs. And there's a list of 10 different items that we can use that money for. We have, the board previously earmarked these two programs, working through HHSA to get it rolling. And we have the potential for about $2.2 million of money under this program. And we need to spend that money by 2030. So there's a variety of different activities that we're allowed to use this money for. We have a plan that's been approved by HCD, it was approved last June, and we can use it to acquire and rehab foreclosed or vacant housing, put matching funds into a local or regional housing trust fund, or it can be used for pre-development, development, acquisition, and other things to preserve or develop new affordable housing. This go towards programs to promote ADUs or any other thing that would sort of hit that workforce level, which is anything below 120% of the area median income. So it would include moderate, low, very low, and extremely low housing, or income housing. So we have identified, since this report went out to the state in April, we've since identified a piece of property that is available for sale in the county, in San Andreas. It's zoned R3, multifamily residential, and we are looking at the potential of acquiring that using the PLHA funds. It would require future board action and something we would need to bring back to the board, but I wanted to sort of present it to you as an idea here and get your acceptance that this is something we should pursue. We would need to change our 5-year plan, and we can amend that if we do it before February, we could amend our existing plan and use those existing money. We also have the potential to use the next cycle of PLHA funding for another 5-year program. And this is one of those grants that if you apply for it, you get it. It's allocated to every county, and if you don't apply for it, it goes somewhere else. So it's not necessarily competitive in that, they're going to be analyzing, which project seems like, get the most bang from the state's bucks. It's like Calaveras County, if you apply, if you have something that meets our criteria, we will give you the money. So I guess what I'm asking for you today, besides any questions you have, any public comment on housing element and how we're doing, is to give us a nod to go ahead and pursue this further, bring something back to you, which would be a proposal to amend the current PLHA plan to enter into potential negotiation on this property, work as a sort of a joint public-private partnership on developing that property. It would fit in with a number of our housing element goals, and it also we'd be able to use the PLHA funding for that. That ends my presentation. Do you have any questions for me?
Supervisor Stopper.
Just curiosity on the property. Is it developed already with any type of buildings on it? Number one, infrastructure. What is the idea behind?
So it is developed with non-housing development. It would have to be, obviously modified. I don't want to go into too much details because this really isn't on the agenda other than sounds like a good idea. Let's pursue it further and come back with those details for you. But the zoning is there, the infrastructure is there. It would take some rehabilitation of the site and obviously the development cost of the housing itself.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's all I needed. I could give a wink, nudge on that.
We discussed this in the strategic planning meeting, and I'm sure the CEO would be happy to brief you on all the details. Other questions from the board? Supervisor Follendorf, you have your hand up.
Yes. One of the concerns I have is the infrastructure. We're running into that issue on some other projects in the San Andreas area where there's a capacity problem. And so if we go after this and we secure these, opportunities, what is going to be our delay with meeting those capacity with the local utility districts? And is there opportunity to help them go after funds to support these housing projects, and not just San Andreas, but countywide? When Supervisor Hubbard brought up Habitat and Angel, that was kind of the driving focus of Habitat, was the city did not have capacity, and so they had to go after a grant and get that to support that development for the city's infrastructure to meet that capacity. Otherwise, there couldn't be any more development. So I'm just worried that if we seek these opportunities without seeking the infrastructure part, we're going to do no so.
That's a very valid concern, and it's something that we would be looking at as a part of the overall project of how we would, what's the total cost of it, and is there capacity for the public water and sewer to support that kind of development? So that's definitely part of what we'd be looking at.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things that we talked about in the strategic planning and housing meetings was coordinating better with the sewer and water providers to find out, where are those issues, and are there grant monies available for infrastructure improvements that might increase capacity either in water treatment or in sewage treatment. So those are the things that we're also working on now.
That's the major hurdle across the county is that type of infrastructure for the most part when it comes to being able to get the go-ahead on any type of these projects.
Absolutely, yes.
Supervisor Hubbard, you
I was
have a
just going to
question?
say, there are a couple empty buildings in my district I'd love to talk to you about rehabilitating.
Very good.
Let's talk.
Seeing no further questions from the board, are there any public comments on this? Al?
Yeah, Al Segal, 50 years in real estate business, and I was able to observe some things in our county, and we have some good news. We don't have a homeless crisis in our county. There's nobody sleeping on the freeways. But we do have a very interesting free market approach to low-cost housing. It's called RV parks, RV mobile home parks. And I think this is already starting to be recognized by the planning director. One success story is in Copperopolis. It's Unit 8A in the Copper Cove subdivision. What they did, they formed 3 circles, 3 mobile home park circles, and then sold individual lots fee simple. And those owners can put a trailer or RV or a stick-built home or maybe several. And it's worked very well. The low-cost housing is there. I had an opportunity to ride with the sheriff's department one time, and we drove through that whole section, and we found that there was all kinds of different low-cost housing being created with no government subsidy, no government control, other than CCNRs. And so this was very good news. The recommendation I would make is to look at our zoning laws and see where could zoning be applicable for RV parks, and then give the owner an opportunity to have that option. And right now we don't have a low-cost housing crisis because of the good thinking of the private developers in Copper Cove. And so we ought to recognize that and then learn from it. Thank you. And then thank you, Peter.
Thank you. Other public comment? Welcome. We do 3 minutes.
All right. Good. Go. And most of you know who I am. I'm Greg Smith, president of Habitat for Humanity, Calaveras County. And we come to you in a consideration for using the funds for our project. Most of you know, and some of you were there, that yesterday we broke ground on 107 homes in Calaveras County, in Angels Camp off Capello Drive. 107 families that live in these homes are from all over the county. They're from Valley Springs, they're from Mountain Ranch, they'll be from Arnold, they'll be from Angels Camp. So it's not an Angels Camp project. That's one thing I want to make sure everybody understands. We have a project that's already infrastructure ready and paid for. We had a $10 million infrastructure grant to do everything from the ground down. So that's covered with a grant that we got from the state of California. We're also getting a grant from the Energy Commission for $500,000 for homes being energy efficient. But we still have a $4 million gap that needs to be filled to build these homes from the ground up. And they'll be completed in the next 3 years. Just a reminder that Habitat homes are not a freebie. They're not low-income housing. They're a hand up, not a handout. And we require each of our families to put in sweat equity, $250 to $500 of sweat equity in building their own homes. So there's a real pride and ownership in these homes. These homes will be beautiful homes. They'll have CCNRs. They'll be very controlled and be homes and condominiums. So I ask the board, as supervisors here, and thank you for letting us talk, for your consideration for the funds to help us fill that $4 million grant. So this is incredibly important for us. I want to introduce Eva real quick. Actually, she can start over if you wish. So that's the time I'm going to take, and Eva is on our board as well, but thank you.
Thank you for your time this afternoon and your service to our community. It is my honor to be here and to share a little bit more about who I am and also what my request is. So I serve on the Calaveras Habitat Board with Greg and others. I live in Greenhorn Creek community in Angels Camp, which has great members, and my history here has been back through my father's side all the way through the gold rush. So while I grew up in another area, I call Calaveras my home, and I also have other family members that live in Valley Springs. So I speak to you not just from Angels Camp perspective, but a very broad perspective, and also from a perspective of someone who's had home insecurity as a child. So, which is why I serve on this board. That said, I understand you have opportunities to make decisions about how to collaborate and how to make the community great and have affordable housing. And even if this particular approach with Eureka Oaks is not something that it seems like it fits perfectly, if there is other opportunity for us to collaborate in the future, to use money to perhaps that goes to another unincorporated part of the county, that you look to us as partners, that we work together, perhaps our developments in other areas as well. So Eureka Oaks is one opportunity for sure that serves the community. But beyond that, there could be other opportunities. And so I invite you to think of that as well, as we all think of serving the great people of this county. Thank you.
Is there other public comment? Is there any public comment online?
We have no online public comment.
See no further. Supervisor Hubbard.
I'd just love to do a quick shout out for Habitat, because the one thing that I would like to point out that I learned yesterday is that this 107 units that are being built in Angels Camp it's unprecedented. Habitat's never done a project this big, and we're very lucky to have it come to our county.
See no further comments, we will move on. That was an informational item. Thank you very much, Peter.
So just to clarify, there's sort of a general consensus that we should move forward, at least investigating this and bringing something back to you on this land that's available here in San Andreas?
I believe so, yes.
Great, thank you.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, should we do a roll call just because we're just information? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're going to report out on closed session before we go to supervisor announcements.
Okay. So we have two report outs. I'll start with the report out from September 10th. We had 3 closed session items on that agenda. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2, conference with legal counsel, re-anticipated litigation, 1 case, significant exposure to litigation, board action, no reportable action taken. Item 2, pursuant to Government Code 54957.6, conference with county designated labor negotiators Teresa Hitchcock, Marcos Munoz, and Judy Hawkins regarding the following employee organization, Service Employees International Union, Local 1021, board action, no reportable action taken. Item 3, pursuant to Government Code 54957B, consider the disability retirement of a safety employee, board action, no reportable action taken. Closed session for today, September 24th. Item 1, pursuant to Government Code 54956.8, conference with real and property negotiators, Marcos Munoz, potential purchase price and terms of payment for APN 042-015-032, negotiating party, Jim Harryford, board action, no reportable action taken. Item 2, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D1, conference with legal counsel regarding existing litigation, County of Calaveras versus Tiscornia Ranches Limited Partnership et al., Calaveras County Superior Court case number 20CV45113, board action, no reportable action taken.
Thank you.
Item 3, pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D2, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, 1 case, significant exposure to litigation, board action, no reportable action taken.
Thank you very much, Stacy. Okay, We'll move on to supervisor announcements. Anybody have anything they need to add? Supervisor Hubbard, we'll start with you today.
Thank you, Chair. I attended RCRC. It was my first time. I really thought it was an amazing conference. Thank you. And you did a brilliant job, by the way. Thank you. I also attended the 9/11 services that Habitat held in Murphy's and the groundbreaking yesterday on Capella Drive. The Wild and Scenic Festival, and I'm bringing this up because this is a shout out for Lisa and Michael. There was a dog that was in our shelter for over a year, and they were able to find the person who actually owned the dog, and they showed up at the Wild and Scenic Festival and picked up Stella. So it was a huge moment. And I also attended the opening of the early introduction to the museum at MACT, which I think is going to be an amazing exhibit / attraction to our county. And then also attended a lunch at Ironstone with the governor's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Toffenali?
I have nothing to report that cost the county any money.
Supervisor Stopper? Supervisor Follendorf?
Yes, I have two announcements. Yesterday I spoke at the groundbreaking for the Habitat Humanity project, which not only is the biggest development coming to our area, it's the biggest development in the state of California of any habitat development, with a $50 million project. And the public comment alluded to the state has already given $10 million, which is the biggest given to any nonprofit in this county alone. This project started back in 2017-18, and now is finally breaking ground, which is really amazing. The other thing, I attended with staff, meeting with the governor's office to discuss a variety of issues impacting our county last week, and that's all I have.
Thank you. I attended the RCRC conference as well. It was well attended, and there was a lot of informational items. I encourage this board to continue to attend if you're able to. It's a great way to get new ideas and really work with some of our colleagues. Nothing else to report. Madam CEO, do you have anything to report? Madam Council? Clerk?
No.
Susan? Nope. All right, we stand adjourned.
At Fox Security, we keep your family and your business safe. Family owned and operated, our highly trained staff provides quality installations, service, and support to our customers. With 2 locations to serve you, San Carlos and Arnold, we install low voltage system security and fire alarm systems with 24-hour monitoring, as well as camera surveillance systems. We install the latest technology in home and business security systems from companies such as